Good morning, good morning, good afternoon. Depends where you are, right?
I don't know about you, but I'm good. I don't talk to you.
Call me big.
Call me babe. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. King Karo in the bitch. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. I don't know about you, but I'm good. I don't talk to you, still good. Call me babe. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. King Karo in the bitch. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. I don't know about you, but I'm good. I don't talk to you, still good. I don't work for you, will always be good. Even if you double your size, you can say my shit. What do you say? Call me babe. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. King Karo in the bitch. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. Let it go, let it go, let it go. They know better, they can try no more. They see coming, we can't go no more. I'm dead, I can't even die no more. I need people I don't know no more. Some people I don't see no more. So much pain, can't do no more. But I forgive you, see no more. Leave you one day, cash in the bank, spicy enough. What's next? They compete, but they can't contest. I'm your dreams, hey. I mean, you were seen in there. Seen in there. I mean, you were seen in there. Call me babe. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. King Karo in the bitch. Hey, stay. They can stop it. I want a little jack up it. Somebody talking say the bottom on the horse. They say the bottom on the horse. But when something happen, I really want to can call. Somebody talking say the bottom on the horse. They say the bottom on the horse. But when something happen, I really want to can
Of the voiceless, the masses hero and chairman of the Council of Patriots will arrive in Liberia on December 30 at 9:30 a.m. with a delegation of 15 persons from the United States of America. All supporters, sympathizers, and well-wishers of the Council of Patriots are expected to assemble at the Roberts International Airport to welcome Henry Costa.
Some will eat and drink with you.
Buses will be available at the Unity Party headquarters on Broad Street and the Total gas station at the Freeport of Monrovia as early as 7:30 a.m.
Only your friend know your secret.
Pickup points are from Broad Street through Topman Boulevard to MP gas station at the SKD, and from the Freeport of Monrovia through the Japan Freeway, through Red Light Dupont Road, through Zubatown to Rehab in Painesville. Come out, all supporters and well-wishers of the Council of Patriots, to the Roberts International Airport on December 30 at 9:30 a.m. to welcome your hero, Henry Pedro Costa, to Liberia.
I say cup, then behind it.
Pennsylvania residents, we got good news for you. Are you interested in boosting your career or moving to the next level? Reach out to us at Excellence Staffing and Global at 267-461-7460 and take advantage of our training services and become either a certified nursing assistant CNA or database administrator DBA. We have a team of experts that can prepare you for your next level. Register now or call 267-461-7460 and get a 25% discount with promo code ESG2022 for our certified nursing assistant training or our database administrator training. Registration ends on December 31, 2022. Training cost is absolutely affordable is excellence staffing and global, powering workforce with excellence. Remember to call us now at 267-461-7460.
Are you in search of a credible, trustworthy, and professional real estate company? Well, your answer is yes. Realty Liberia Corporation is a solution to all your real estate needs. They provide real estate management, broker the sale or purchase of real properties, facilitate real property rental arrangements. They do property appraisals and title searches. Their effective and competent U.S. trained team boasts of over 30 years of experience working in the residential and commercial real estate space of America. They are a 100% Liberian-owned company located ideally on 4th Street Sinker in the Oregon compound. They can be reached on cell phone numbers +231-888-282-828 or 231-775-282-828. They are found on the internet at www.realtyliberia.com. Ladies and gentlemen, stop by today at their 4th Street Sinker office and tell them Henry Costa sent you.
Allen Bernard International, or ABR, is a management consulting firm with a team of consultants and associates who focus on growing and transforming home healthcare agencies, nonprofits, and small businesses in other industries as well as individuals. Our services include ABR Business Support Services, ABR Accounting and Tax Services, and ABR Anti-Money Laundering Compliance Services. At ABR, we bring to each assignment dedication and commitment, experience and skills, performance-based process, integrated solution teams, and client relations. For more inquiries on our services, call phone number 469-378-3955. That's Allen Bernard International, or ABR, transforming business through ideas.
Don't sleep, come.
When you talk durable, environmental friendly, and an all-weather surface smoothener, the only name that comes to mind is Zize Quality Paints. Zize Quality Paints come in all color and is produced in the USA. You don't have to worry anymore, because with Zize Quality Paints, you can change from oil to water-based paint with no damage to your wall or surface. And also, Zize Paint doesn't peel your wall. The good news is, you can customize your paint based on your preference. Locate our offices in Police Academy Junction, RRA Highway, and our newly opened branch at LMC Junction, St. Paul Bridge, Bourgeois Island. For the first of its kind in Liberia, Zize Quality Group of Companies Incorporated introduces the Painter Referral Cash Commission. Professional painters can earn referral cash commission ranging from $5 United States dollars to $375 United States dollars when your client buy minimum total sale value greater than or equal to $200 United States dollars per transaction. This offer runs from September 5th, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Interested professional painters can contact any of our Zize Quality Paint store locations. This is our way of appreciating our valued professional painters for their support and continuous commitment to doing business with us. The qualification is just simple. You must be a professional painter. Referral cash commission is based on per transaction and not on accumulated purchases. For more information, call phone numbers 0777 366 142 or 0555-386-177. Zize Quality Paints. Give your property a shine.
Let me see.
Do you need a car?
Ready for an upgrade?
Then come to Sika Motors, sole distributors of Toyota vehicles, Mitsubishi vehicles, and Yamaha motorbikes, genuine accessories and spare parts.
You name it, we have it. We have the 2022 brands of Toyota vehicles. Select from our new Toyota Starlight,
Toyota Belter, Toyota Rush.
We've got the best deal in town through our Sika Motors financing schemes with selected banks, EcoBank Liberia and UBA Liberia, starting at the lowest as $500 USD. You won't believe these prices. Come for quality quality, reliability, and durability. Take a spin and let's make a deal.
Sika Motors on UN Drive at Seontown, Bushra Island, or call Sika Motors on +231 775 987 758 or email cmarketing@cfao.com. Sika Motors, drive with confidence.
We all know the headache we go through sending money to our loved ones, friends, and family in Liberia. High fees, long lines in banks, the usual complaint of the system being down, such a waste of time and energy. That is why I was very happy when I learned that SendWave is now in Liberia. So now I can send money anytime from anywhere directly from my smartphone to the MTN Lone Star Cell mobile money account of a loved one, friend, or family within seconds for just a tiny fee. So download SendWave now to your phone from your Apple Store or Google Play Store. Add your details, and don't worry, they are very safe and secure. And start sending money today. Don't forget to insert the promo code COSTA to get free $5 credit added to your first transfer. SendWave is secure, super fast, and by far the most affordable way to send money to Liberia. I'm Henry P. Costa and a very happy customer. Thank you.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Costa Show. Today is it's a very interesting day. We're very glad to be here. We hope you all had a beautiful night, and those of you who are in other parts of the world who are still, experiencing night or day or evening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every one of you. Welcome. We've got lots of interesting things to talk about today. Many tons of things to talk about. And the most interesting of them and the most serious of them is that apparently the Americans believe that Liberia is only good for pictures and selfies with President Biden, but we're not good for money. And that is exactly what they've shown here. This is the most serious thing we've got to talk about today, Walker. The crux of the matter, the bottom line is that whilst Mr. Weah took pictures with President Biden and he was all smiley and they were posting those pictures and changing all their through the Millennium Challenge Corporation rejected Liberia. They gave money to La Cote d'Ivoire, they gave money to Sierra Leone, they gave money to Mozambique, to Zambia.
Because please reiterate, you are kind of, he's breaking in a little bit. So please, I beg you, start from.
No problem. I'm going to go back because this is serious. Ladies and gentlemen, the CDC government has been anticipating. They've been rubbing their palms in anticipation of an MCC compact grant. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
2015, after Liberia passed for the first time, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf received $257.9 million of MCC money, free money. The US government established the MCC in 2004 under President George Bush with a new philosophy to American aid, where a number of strings would be attached. A number of strings would be attached to aid. You got to pass on your scorecard. I think about 20 indicators, and you must pass in, in the simple majority of them in order to qualify for an MCC grant. This government put so much effort into trying to qualify in order to pass on a scorecard. And for the first time in 5 years, the CDC government made a pass. The first pass. After 4 unsuccessful attempts, they finally passed in the 5th year. They were jubilant. They were excited. In fact, I even came out and congratulated them for passing.
Yeah.
Now, Bwaga, here is the thing. Listen to me very keenly. I have followed the MCC since it was established by an act of legislation in 2004 under President George Bush. It is almost automatic that when you pass on your school card, it is almost automatic that you become qualified for an MCC compact grant. You pass, you get money. You fail, no money. You pass, you get money. You fail, no money. But then, what is the exception? Why was Liberia rejected? Everybody else got money. The Sierra Leoneans will get money. The Senegalese will get money. The Ivorians will get money. The Zambians will get money. The Mozambicans will get money. Everybody else is getting money. But the MCC said they met the board. Hold on, Waka. The board of the MCC met on the 8th of December. Let me tell you what the board did. The board met, the board deliberated, the board made a decision. The MCC board met. It's on their website. I'm going to read it verbatim, word for word. The board met on December 8, 2022 to select those eligible countries with which the United States, through MCC, will seek to enter into a Millennium Challenge Compact, pursuant to Section 607 of the Act 22 U.S.C. 7706. The board selected the eligible countries for such assistance for fiscal year 2023. That's next year. Senegal, the Gambia, and Togo. The board also selected the following previously selected countries for compact assistance for fiscal year 2023. Cote d'Ivoire, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, and Zambia. Wait! What guys?
Few questions.
Go ahead, ask a question, but before you do, Sierra Leone just got $400 million last year. Sierra Leone got $400 million last year or the year before. $400 million. And then what? We are makes the first pass. His first pass in 5 years. And you give him no money? He takes all those pictures with Biden. He's smiling. His son scored a goal for America, for Christ's sake. Julia Marabiosona playing for America. Amen. Why many Alassane Dramani Ouattara from Sierra Leone? His son does not play football for America. The Senegalese president, what's his name? Macky Sall. Macky Sall's son does not play for America. Zambia. Amen. Zambia and all get money. Zambia. Mozambique. Togo, for Nasengbe, that dictator, the dictator who has been in power since his father, Nasengbe Iyadima passed away in 2005. That boy has been in power since that time. That boy all gets money and we don't get money. A dictator who has been in power since 2005 gets money and we don't get money. Amen. What guy?
My question is it that if you pass, like for instance, like the way the CDC government passed the NCC scorecard, with the grant or the money that will be given to them, will it be given the next year or 2 years after? Because we have to understand something here.
I read the thing just now, boy. It's all the people that pass this year, they get the money next year. I just read the thing for you. You get the thing here? Everybody that got it that passed will get the money for fiscal year 2023. They get the money next year. All of them, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Togo, Mozambique, all of them get the money next year. I just read the thing, okay?
Yeah, but
another next year.
And another one, passing is one thing, and being qualified 100% is another thing. So is it that
when you pass, they didn't do anything extra. They never said any extra text. Everybody is seen. You pass, you get the money. Okay? There's nothing extra the MCC does. After you pass, then the board meets. The board of the MCC, they met on December 8th. Then they make a decision. Okay, these are all the countries that pass. And once you pass, you get the money. What's the whole essence of passing? It's like Weah went to school. He went to school for 5 years. He failed in one class for 5 years. Finally, in the 5th year, he made a pass. He went to school for 5 years. He failed for 4 years in a row consecutively. Then the 5th year he passed. But he passed and never gained a report card or a transcript. That is what happened. We passed, yet we got no money. Wakai, this is a disaster for the government. It is a major rejection of the government. What does it say to me? The Americans don't trust George Weah with money. The Americans don't believe. The Americans look at George Weah. They say this guy is a criminal. If we give this guy money, elections are coming. If you give the guy $300-400 million, Wakai, elections are coming. This guy is going to bathe himself in this money. They're going to steal his damn money. And so we're not going to give this guy money. That is the message it sends to me. The Americans do not trust Liberia with money. The Americans believe that they are criminals and they will steal the money. And that is why they said, we're not going to give him money. Okay? That's just it. But go ahead. Ask your other questions. I'll make it.
Yeah. No, that you claim on that because with what you have read from the their website, the MCC website, it's clear that those that pass and those that were selected to receive money, they are out there. Nothing more we can do as country. We just have to sit and relax and look up to God. Maybe when the next administration comes, that's the time because we
So that means there's no way we will get MCC money because the countries that passed in 2022, they're receiving the money when? In 2023, as we just read. And we are lead power in January 2024. So that means we would never smell $1 from MCC. Okay? And guess what? And some of you are wondering, how does Costa feel about this? I'm freaking excited. I'm very happy. What are you talking about? If you're wondering, just in case you're wondering, I wish I had a damn bottle of champagne. I would have drunk it this morning. I am freaking excited. You know what it means if these boys have been approved for MCC grant? Listen to me. These son of a swine who can just take selfie with Biden and they bluff it all around the place. Do you know what it would have meant if these guys had gotten an MCC grant? It would have negated everything that we've been saying. Well, how can we say the people are corrupt? Listen to me. How can we say the people are corrupt if the people getting MCC money? Listen to me, poor guy. How can we say the people are corrupt if Americans look at it and get them $200-300 million? Then it would negate, it would undermine, it would completely obliterate, it would eviscerate, it would shatter the argument that we and his people are corrupt. You would not be able to make such an argument and hold such an argument if the Americans had selected Weah and his government for an MCC compact grant. No, that argument would have been moot. But now we can continue to make that argument even more. That argument, the argument that Weah and his people are corrupt, which we all know, has now been consolidated, reinforced, and buttressed by the Americans. By this snub, by this rejection of the MCC of Weah, they look at him, kolo. And you know when they made the announcement, guy? Let me, wait, hold on. You know when they made the announcement?
Because you need to publish that document so people can see. Because
I mean, we published the document already. I believe I was one of the first, if not the very first, to publish the document. Do you know when they made the announcement, you all? You know what they made? They made the announcement when the man was in America at the event. That is when they made the announcement. Let me go to the MCC page. My man, the Americans, oh man, I'm loving the Americans right now. So don't get it twisted. I'm very happy. Can't talk about someone there writing on Facebook. Oh, you just hate your country. You just hate the poor. Why are you happy for bad news for your country? They're not bad news for me. If MCC money come, how will we benefit? These Salma Swan will steal it. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy that we did not get MCC money. I beg you, yeah. Don't get it twisted. Can't talk about Costa feeling bad that we not get MCC money. The other money, then what we're gonna get? The one we're gonna get in the budget. What are you doing for the Liberian people before I sort of be feeling bad? Let's see. The MCC on their Twitter page, on their Twitter account, they made this announcement. On day 2 of USA Africa Leaders Summit 2022 at POTUS, then they tag the president. You know what POTUS stands for? POTUS is the acronym that stands for President of the United States, POTUS, the MCC tagged Biden in their tweet on Twitter. They say POTUS announced. They did a tweet. They say POTUS announced. This is the President of the United States. If you didn't know what POTUS stands for, POTUS announced that MCC selected the Gambia, Togo, Senegal, and Mauritania. Mauritania there. Oh my man, Buka, they're all getting money in front of Mauritania. Mauritania all getting money for MCC. And Mauritania to develop new grant programs and applauded MCC's first ever regional partnership. With these selections, MCC programs are now active in 14 African countries. Okay, how many African countries?
14.
14 African countries. Amen. Let me read the one for you. At the U.S. Africa Business Forum, President Biden announced over $15 billion in two-way trade and investment in Africa. Again, when I get any of that money, $15 billion, $15 billion. $50 billion. My God, Biden, that we keep up in here. But look at the way Biden was smiling with a member. So you mean in 14 African countries you get MCC program?
Because after you posted about this,
but you know how much money they gave it total? MCC gave it $9.5 billion. These 14 African countries are receiving how much for MCC? $9.5 billion. Let me repeat: $9.5 billion for MCC. 14 African countries receiving $9.5 billion. Liberia getting what? 0.0000 billion. How much Liberia getting? 0.00000 billion. So Biden, that wicked puppet. Biden, that wicked. Oh, Joe Biden.
Costa,
wait, oh my God. You take better way, man. You mean it, man. But I thought Calazo say the goal that Timothy we have scored open many doors. Calazo, you laugh. Oh, Calazo, you wait. Didn't Carrasco say the goal that Chan we have scored for America open many doors for we are? So that door to take picture, that door to take picture, that the door that is open. So Joe Biden, you mean the goal that time we are? I mean, Timothy, we are school for America. The first goal in the World Cup. The first goal in the World Cup that Timothy, we are school for America. You mean I get to get Joe we are photo selfie? You think that all I want to go off like that selfie? Mother built some play for America. Macky Sall, the president of Senegal, he some play for America. You look at the Mauritanian men in the desert, the Arab men, all you getting money, you not get your money. No, man, America not let it go. America not let it go. Oh my God, America not let it go.
Yeah, but the only justification Samuel is making right now on your post is he's posting the President Joe Biden meeting with African Prescapo Samuel. That's the only thing he's justifying. After he posted after he posted about the MCC news yesterday, breaking news from MCC. Only thing you can see Prescapo posting on your post is photos with President Joe Biden and other African leaders talking about a free and fair election 2023.
Okay, hold on. Biden called the man and said, look, you're having election next year. Your son and you better make sure those elections are free and fair. We will not accept you cheating in the election. Papa will hear you. They called them to read the riot act to them. You better not cheat. Those elections, we're going to be closely monitoring them. In fact, We paying for the elections, and that's true. In all the countries, America giving them money for their elections. I don't know about Nigeria, but I know Nigeria is again get aid. So look, but the point about it is, Boakai, the point about it, and I say this, I'm reminded of my uncle, the late Jeremiah Walker. He used to like to say the point about it is that they mean us with money. Boakai, that is the point about it. America is giving 9.5 billion. Go get Google. MCC grant for 2023 to 14 African countries is 9.5 billion. Boakai, if they had only chosen or selected 1 or 2 African countries and left us out, it would be understandable. But the fact that 14 African countries are getting $9.5 billion, and Liberia, the country that has extraordinarily strong, supposedly strong historic ties with the United States of America. Yesterday, I want to see my chiropractor. So as he was doing my work and working on me, and we started talking about Liberia, and I gave him the history of Liberia. He was like, "What? Thanks for the history lesson." He was intrigued. But this country, Liberia, has a special relationship, and George Weah is the first democratically elected Liberian president who has never had the opportunity to speak from the Rose Garden at the White House. You know what they call the Rose Garden? Sami Doe. When Sami Doe came to this country in 1981 or 1982, 1 or 2 years after the coup d'etat, he was a military head of state, not even a democratically elected president. Ronald Reagan gave Sami Doe the opportunity of a state visit, veiled before Sami Doe. Sami Doe spoke from the Rose Garden in 1982, the year I was born, 82 or 81. Sami Doe spoke from the Rose Garden. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the war criminal, the mother of the war, the grand matron of corruption, spoke from the Rose Garden. Charles Gange Taylor is the only Liberian president who never had the opportunity to come to America as president because of his own stupidity. George Weah is a democratically elected president, yet he has not had the opportunity to speak from the Rose Garden at the White House. He is the only Liberian president other than Charles Taylor, and we all know why Charles Taylor never came to speak on the Rose Garden. Why do you think that George Manuel Weah has never been given the opportunity to address the American population and the American general public, standing side by side with the president of the free world, the leader of the free world, to speak from the Rose Garden? That is a question I have for you, brother. Why? Because they don't let it ball?
They are enemy of the state now. Everybody not let Joey, the person, become enemy of the state. So
look,
even Americans.
Let me say something to you before we move on to other things here. Yeah. Doe came here August 2nd, 1982. 4 days later, I would be born because I was born on August 6th, and Doe came August 2nd, 1982. I would be born 4 days later. This child was born 4 days later. But let me say this to you. This is serious stuff. I may have tried to spice it up, and our man Larry is joining us because Larry needs to chime in on this conversation. Larry, this is the biggest U.S. snub or rejection in the history of the Weah administration. Would you agree?
Man, good morning to you. Good morning, Brother Boakai. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic, Larry.
This is an embarrassment to the presidency of George Weah. Big embarrassment because, like you were just saying, the first president post-war Liberia never got a chance to meet in a formal engagement, not no selfie over at the United Nations or selfie over, to actually have a formal meeting. It's an embarrassment. But there's a reason why it happened. Vice President JNB, he had a chance to meet President Obama and Michelle Obama. So photos, at the White House. Right there at the White House. This administration, the president and the vice president, never got a chance to meet any top U.S. government official at the White House. Never happened. It's a snub, you know. and then where all the money they spend lobbying, oh my goodness, they spend a lot of Liberian people tax
Millions of dollars,
lobbying.
Larry. You've been keeping the tab.
Millions. 3-point-something million per year lobbying. And then to take picture with Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz. Remember that nonsense photo they were taking? And then Lindsey Graham saying he was going to talk to some of his people so they can win the MCC compact.
Yeah. And they were throwing this big figure around, $500 million.
$500 million. It was a joke. I knew they weren't going to win the MCC compact because the MCC compact has something in there that is called a hard, I think it's like a hard criteria. You have to pass this one criteria in order to win the MCC. It's the corruption index. If you don't pass, so you have to pass at least 10 out of what? Maybe the 20.
We passed 12.
Yeah. So even though they passed the corruption index, but look at the countries that have passed the index. Places like Sierra Leone scored about 73, almost 80%.
But Sierra Leone is corrupt too, Larry. You know this.
Sierra Leone is corrupt.
Do the Americans believe that Liberia is worse than Sierra Leone, Larry?
Imagine that. Liberia is worse. And I will tell you in a second.
Larry, Togo has a dictator, for Christ's sake, who's been in power since his father died in 2005.
Yeah.
And yet they believe the Togolese are better than us.
Mm-hmm. Look at it, Gambia. Jamel was there because of corruption and human rights. He never got anything on the compact.
Barrow is terrible.
Yeah.
And the Americans are giving Barrow money?
Barrow's getting money, but Barrow scored 83% on the corruption part of the MCC.
Man, this is.
But why the guys didn't do well in the MCC? Because when they came in from day one, and you yourself know, our man Chris Smith in New Jersey, they started stealing. Chris Smith said this was a kleptocracy, a government that comes in just to steal the Liberian people money. Chris Smith said it.
Of course.
And they've been saying, the Americans been saying all along, corruption is a national security threat.
Linda Thomas Greenfield said it. Dana Bash. Not Dana Bash.
Banks.
Dana Banks, right?
Yeah.
A lady who went for the bicentennial event, representing President Biden.
Call them out in their faces.
Everybody has been calling them out for corruption, every U.S. official. Yet, they never listened, Larry. Then somehow they expected they would remain as corrupt as they are with no effort to improve, and yet they will get MCC money. Tell me about that, Larry. What kind of delusion of grandeur is that?
So let me get this straight. And correct me, I may not know a whole lot. So let me get this straight. So white guy knows that one of our men over here is stealing. Anytime we get a man money, the man steal it. Boom. Not only that, the man takes the money and he flies around private jet and brags about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we run a competition where everybody else knows that if we give this man a grant, we see in the history, they did the mop up 25 million. It came. They had what they call the Steel Team 6. I wouldn't say call that, So,
I never heard that one before. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So they had a Steel Team 6 walking around with US dollars saying they're doing mop up, unconventional mop up. What the? Anyway, that's another story. Are you telling me that now I'm going to give you some grant? What do you think the outcome's going to be if I give you that grant?
You're going to steal it as well. And Larry, particularly when we're going to elections.
Yeah, but Costa, there was no need of you allowing me to pass the scorecard when you know within yourself that you're not giving me money. So what the essence of you allowing me to celebrate, make my people know that,
yes, is one thing. The board of the MCC has to meet, deliberate, and select countries they believe are eligible. They use that terminology, Larry. Eligible. Liberia is not eligible. But what confuses me, Larry, is this. If Togo, if Sierra Leone, if they are eligible, why? So that means that in the minds of the Americans, Liberia is worse than Sierra Leone, Togo, and the Gambia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not just in the minds of the American, but the data that all the other entities, because they look at data from the World Bank, the Heritage Foundation, all these people, they all came back and said, this is where Liberia is ranked. So it wasn't like one individual sitting there just doing it. It was a group of data they put out, and Liberia scored less on the corruption. Liberia scored like what, 50? I think I had it somewhere like 50 something percent. Sierra Leone did well above that. Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, well above that. All the countries that did well above Liberia.
Sorry. But
and you just said, no, Pedro, the misappropriation, when how many ambassadors wrote and said,
we published that. They stole the ambassadors' money from their donor accounts.
And ambassadors told them to put the money back. What happened to the road fund?
Borrowing initiative.
Yeah. The road fund, what happened to that money?
They stole most of it.
It's the same. Then you're trying to tell me now that I am so stupid. So boycott, I have no common sense. Now I'm going to give you what? $300 million or so.
Larry, you mentioned something. There were several letters from the American ambassador telling the government to put the road fund money back.
Yeah.
Because what the MCC money was doing was going to match, they were matching. So for example, they would take 10 million from the road fund account and the MCC money, the MCC would disperse 10 million from the MCC thing we had in Liberia to match that money to do existing roads, to improve upon existing roads. But as we're stealing the money, the MCC, the American ambassador kept writing and said, put the money back, put the money back, put the money back.
That's what prompted Ambassador McCarthy to say, what will J.J. Roberts say? Remember that? Ambassador McCarthy wrote his op-ed. What would J.J. Roberts say? We give you guys money for medical supplies. A lot of the hospitals do not have medicine and drugs.
He said it.
He said it. We give you guys money time and time again for transparency in the legislature.
Larry, the guys can steal.
The guys, that's why Chris Smith called it a kleptocracy.
Yeah. They can't help themselves. But Larry, let me ask you a question. The government has fallen conspicuously silent. I mean, the silence is deafening.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think is going on in their heads?
My man, the guys then paid $474,950 in lobbying fees to Ballot Partners, Brian Ballard.
Who used to be the guy they used to call Trump's lobbyist.
Trump's lobbyist. In August, they took the Liberian people money. Remember that? I just mentioned you don't have money for drugs over at the hospitals. You have problems paying to get electricity in your country. You have problems paying for sanitation. And that whole nonsense about somebody, the mayor saying that America should be responsible for cleaning up Monrovia, that was the silliest thing I ever heard. You pay $474,950 to Ballot Partners in August with the intent that when you come to DC, you would get to take pictures with Biden or you would be able to get the MCC. All of that stuff. Nothing happened. Why? Because the American government said we have information on you that you are stealing the Liberian people money. There is no way in God's earth.
They can have that boatload of data that the embassy has collected, verified, and furnished them when you're in DC. And then you come to DC and expect that some lobbyists, especially Trump's lobbyists, would be able to overturn or undermine what their embassy, all the diplomatic cables and reports that have come from their embassy to them about you.
Yeah. If I can tap Boykott's phone and I know what Boycott is saying, and I'm saying this because we know this is the U.S. government.
We know Uncle Sam is capable of.
Yeah.
We know, and I hate when it's saying, oh, we want to see the evidence. They're not going to tell you the evidence, but we know the guy who was working at Booz Allen Hamilton, you know, the top IT defense contractor here in the U.S., the guy who just got the Russian citizenship, man, what's the guy's name? You know, the guy who ran away, Edward Snowden, admitted that the U.S. government was even tapping some of their partners, like Angela Merkel's in the cell phone.
So
you're trying to tell me,
Larry, on December 28th, let's take it to Liberia in terms of the capabilities, how they can listen in and all of that. December 28th, Saturday, December 28th, 2019. I went to the U.S. Embassy on an invitation on a Saturday. The U.S. Marine came and picked me up from the entrance, took me inside, and I sat there. He was standing, wearing his military uniform, and the regional security officer took out a piece of paper, introduced himself to me, and said, "Mr. Costa, I'm here to speak with you with authority as a regional security. I've done this on 5 continents around the world. I've been in this field for 30 years, and the American ambassador has instructed me to speak with you about the following things. 1, we have received cogent intelligence by intercepting communications that your life has been targeted. And on the day of your December 30th protest, 3 men will move towards you in the crowd with machetes to assassinate you." I'm like, what? This is a regional security coordinator, regional security officer, RSO of the U.S. Embassy. Now, Larry, I know what these Americans are doing. The man said, we're listening into on the conversation. Did I have to ask him, give me the recording that you heard? No.
No.
The man said they intercepted. Keyword, intercepted.
That's the word he used. We intercepted telephone communications.
They don't have to hold your cell phone. You think the guys didn't ever held Angela Merkel's cell phone in their hand to intercept a conversation? No.
But Larry, Angela Merkel was one of the greatest allies. If they could listen in on her conversations, whose conversations they won't listen in on?
And Costa, what they told you at the embassy, there were guys at the protest scene that went there with cutlasses.
Oh no, we captured them. The Americans were right. Larry,
they were right. What they said was true.
So Larry, what next? I mean, Weah is leaving office next year. We're gonna beat him, and so he's never going to see $1 from MCC. He's never going to speak at a Rose Garden in the White House.
Not gonna happen. The easiest thing they could have done was to even meet. MCC was challenging, but the easiest thing they could have done was to meet Biden. They couldn't get that easy part to meet Biden. You couldn't get that part. After spending $3 million in lobbying per year, you couldn't get to meet Biden. I mean, why you couldn't get to meet Biden? Because the U.S. had information on the corruption. Remember now, Biden said it's on the White House website. Don't take my word for it. Go to the White House website. Reading is fundamental. Please go and read it. Corruption is a threat against U.S. national security. I don't know why these guys don't get it. They think they can steal and still get to meet the president of the United States or still get to win the MCC. That's why corruption is a hard line score that you have to pass in the MCC. It's a threat to U.S. national security.
True.
After all the lobbying, what did they get in return? 3 top government officials got sanctioned. So let me get this straight, Costa. You spend $3 million a year, and 3 of your top officials get sanctioned.
That $1 million person, they were buying the sanction. $1 million per person.
Imagine that you spend $5 million, Costa. What do you think will happen?
You will get fired. You will get fired. Government sanctions.
They're probably come down there, extradite you and throw you in a prison.
But Larry, why are they having the reverse? Everybody else gets some sort of reprieve or waiver. Look at what happened with Atiku Abubakar when Trump was president, and Atiku was running in the last Nigerian elections. Atiku is on a U.S. travel ban, travel restriction. Yet they were able to grant a temporary waiver to allow you to travel to the United States.
Yeah.
But not even these guys.
All the photo ops every day you're hearing, we're having bilateral discussions. They can't even spell bilateral. All day they're having bilateral conversation. They go to a World Cup, they're having bilateral. They're sitting in the stand having bilateral. They're taking pictures with referees and having bilateral. I said they spell bilateral. They can't even spell it.
Larry, let's just veer off to another thing here. The fact that Biden invited 5 African countries, the leaders of these countries, to a meeting, specifically to a meeting on the sidelines, in the Oval Office, to tell them to read a riot act to them about the election. That's when we got an opportunity to take selfies.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I mean, is that something to celebrate? I mean, the president of the United States is calling and saying, hey, You're having elections next year. We're watching these elections very closely. You better not think that you can cheat. What does that mean? Right?
The risk of someone else not only getting sanctioned, but violating human rights is so high right now, because if Biden call you and he read you the Riot Act, this is the U.S. government. These are the guys then who you need extradition to go and get people out of your country, but they don't care. They would go to Pakistan and grab someone like Bin Laden. This is the U.S. you're talking about.
Yeah.
They would grab
Noriega,
presidents from
1989, December 20.
Noriega, beating his cutlass. Like what you said, they started blasting him when he went to go hide in a church with
in
a
the
heart.
Vatican embassy.
This is the U.S. government. They're telling you right up front, do not cheat in your upcoming elections, because we know that elections have consequences. We know elections have led to a lot of violence. If you take a look across Africa, a lot of the violence you see happening, the conflict, is because of elections. America is stepping up to the plate. Biden is a principled individual. He's stepping up to the plate and he's reading you the Riot Act up front. Don't mess with the elections. Ambassador McCarthy came out and told you we will hold back on sanctions based on what's going to happen with the elections. So that lady you have at the NEC that's doing all those yama yama and all that nonsense, I would put her on the top 5 of people who can possibly get sanctioned.
But you read the open letter from the American ambassador the other day? Didn't he say it, Walker? He said.
So the American ambassador, the message from the American ambassador was just being re-echoed by President Joe Biden.
But where do you think the policy position comes from?
Yes.
It comes from DC.
Yeah, meaning that what the ambassador told you guys, not only probably Liberian ambassador, other countries, those that are going for election, what they told you guys is what I'm saying here. Next year is election. What they told you about the elections is what I'm re-echoing. When you are going to election, there should be a free and fair election. There should be nothing tampered with. Let's just go through the direct process.
And that's what the American ambassador said the last time, Larry.
Yeah.
That the all-important free and fair elections of 2023 will be a great factor in determining in the decisions for additional sanctions in the months leading up to. They did not say months after. They said months leading up to the vote, VOTE, which is same as election. So Biden was just re-echoing what their ambassador had already said in an open letter.
Sure.
And let me ask you a boycott this question now. Whenever you have elections, you know the U.S. government will send people to monitor the election. Observers, right? And then the U.S. will also, a lot of countries, they'll also wait for the U.S. to kind of give their signature of approval that the election was free and fair. Yeah. My question to you are, if the election in Liberia is not free and fair, you think Jimmy Carter and all these other observers would sign off on it?
They would never get a stamp of approval.
They would not.
They would never sign off on it.
And then if they don't, your government, if you even try to hijack power, you're illegitimate. They will not recognize you.
Sure.
That's the key. They would never recognize you because they would say the election was never fair, and that will lead to some other consequences. But
then they will bring sanctions on perhaps even you, George Weah. So George Weah is in a tight spot here, Larry. Do you think there's any way Weah can salvage this situation? Can he?
No, it's a. You see, 2022 and winning a compact was going to be one of the, I don't want to say culmination, but one of the greatest successes, despite all the failures in the previous years. Winning a compact and then making some changes in 2022 was going to give Weah not a big advantage, but a little bit of breathing room in terms of leading to 2023 with an opportunity to win. Because financial economic data is what we call laggard. It comes after the fact. You're not going to see, so this year, after the central bank comes out and puts the data, in 2023, you're not going to see a whole lot of activities. Because everything that we are going to be judged on now is said and done. It's all said and done. So there's nothing new that he can do in 2023 that will have an impact on the election. It's all done and dusted.
We've got 2 weeks.
It's done. It's done.
So now, Bibra Larry, we can say this is financial sanction on this government, because if they are just going to receive,
you're right, Waka.
financial sanction, because if they were just going to receive such money, they could have used it to do anything in the upcoming elections.
And it was going to be a big political boost for them.
Sure.
It's going to be a big morale boost. Ivory Coast getting over $500 million. That's a lot of money. You're right, Boycott. This is sort of an additional financial sanction by not giving them this compact.
Even
it demoralizes the government.
Even though they passed it, but they're not getting the money. It's a sanction by itself, Boycott. That's a brilliant point.
Boycott makes a good point. It's a sanction, you know. It further shows that the American government want these guys out of there.
So the American question of George Weah is at this level. You can't even see my hand, Larry. That shows you how low it is. it's at that level. Now, Larry, let's move on to something else. And this is very interesting. LBDI has put out a letter, a press release. I have the press release here. I'm not going to read it to waste our time, but the press release says, and it's under the signature of the acting president of the LBDI. And they say that this so-called purported list of delinquent borrowers was not put out by LBDI. They didn't put out this list. And so they're asking the public to not give it any credence, to not dignify it, because it was not produced by the bank, neither was it released by the bank. People suspect Dio Delany, this sour grape, bitter, disgraced former president of the bank. They suspect he's the one that put it out. What do you make of that, Larry?
Here's the thing. People should stop. Don't focus on the list. The list, I think, is a distraction. People use the list for political gains. Do not focus on the list and all the names on the list. Set that aside for a second. What people need to focus on is LBDI solvent? Because LBDI have enough assets, enough cash that is more than its liabilities. Meaning, if I or Boyka or you were to walk into LBDI today and demand access to our money, will we get it back?
Nope.
That's the key. People should focus on LBDI solvency. I think yesterday, Pedro, you mentioned the percentage of non-performing loans.
Yeah, I wanted to just regurgitate that.
Please.
This former president of the bank with whom I spoke said to me, as at December 31st, 2021, LBDI's total loan portfolio was $66 million. Of that amount, of that total loan portfolio, $35 million, representing 53%, was non-performing. Only 47% was performing. The CBL threshold for non-performing is 10%. Therefore, if 53% as at December 31st, 2021 of LBDI's loan portfolio is non-performing, that is 500% non-performing, 500% above the CBL threshold. Go ahead, Larry.
That, my friend, is the major concern. That means boycott. You know, right now, boycott has about what, 20, 25,000 LBDI. If boycott goes over there to go collect 5,000 of his money, he's not going to get it.
Nope.
People should focus, is LBDI solvent? Has LBDI ever published their books and records, their balance sheet, the different financial statements?
Annually, but most of us don't bother to read it. They do. They're required to. They do.
When you take a look at LBDI's financials, LBDI, I suspect, I don't know for a fact, but I suspect LBDI is not solvent. They are not solvent. That's what people need to focus on. And when you look at the banking laws in Liberia, if you go to moci.gov.lr, take a look at the banking laws there, Title 6 of the banking laws, Section 24. Take a look and read it. By law, anybody in LBDI who is fabricating any type of records can get fined. And even LBDI, if they don't meet certain financial thresholds, LBDI can get fined up to 100,000 LRD, which is about $600, $700 per day. I don't think LBDI is solvent.
Larry,
that's what people need to be concerned about. That is scary, Pedro.
Larry, let's move on to something else that's very juicy. So,
what you got?
We heard this story. I didn't really know how true it was, but it has been confirmed by the ANC, by the CPP folks themselves. From Base Africa has reported that they spoke with Martin Kola, the Secretary General of the Liberty Party, who is an official of the CPP, who is one of the organizers of the Attaya Suffering Rally. They spoke, and From Base Africa has the story. I'm going to send it to you right now, Larry, so don't take my word for it. I'm going to send it to you right now. That yesterday, Larry, Martin Kola was given $70,000 for the protest. But Larry, first of all, $70,000 for Attaya Suffering protest? Listen, Larry, this is juicy stuff. I just sent it to you. Now, Martin Kola said the money was in his bag. $70,000. He gave the $70,000. He said the money was meant for mobilization, for transporting people to the protest. And that's a red flag right there. June 7th, right? The protest, Larry, we didn't pay people to come. We didn't send buses. But $70,000 given to Martin. Martin says he gave the money to his driver. Simon Davis is the name of his driver. He told the driver to go downstairs and wait for him because there was a huge crowd at the office. The driver was supposed to go downstairs. But what did the driver do? He said he left the driver in his office. And then then he tried to divert the crowd downstairs so that he could have space to pay the people who were hired to render services. They were paying people hired to render services. What kind of services? I don't know. Possibly to bring people, And then what happened? His driver suddenly disappeared and left the car keys in the car and ran away with $70,000. Larry, what do you make of the Attaya Suffering protests? The driver run away with the money. He say, Attaya Suffering too. Let me carry the $70,000.
Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. Somebody in Liberia gonna be having a very good Christmas.
What? Larry, $70,000? But Larry, first of all, our June 7 protest was $11,000, the whole budget, and it went into PA system, mobilization, water, lots of water, and that's what it went into. But $70,000, and Larry,
that driver graduated. He graduated from the Samuel 12 School of Mop Up. He certainly mopped up 75,000 to have a good time. 70 G's. Well, I mean, it just goes to show, first of all, you don't have a rally and call it Attaya Suffering. A rally is to kind of boost someone's morale. That's what a rally is. Protest is there is something going on that you do not agree with and you want to kind of highlight it. You protest. So saying a rally when you're in fact is protesting just kind of show that, okay, you have some issues with your messaging right there. Then for you to say that you're putting, I don't know, man, you're going to be giving people then cash to come out. I mean, if the money is being used to kind of cover like the same water, t-shirts and all that stuff.
$70,000 is too much, Larry.
$70,000 is a ton of money.
But Larry, I have some other theories running through my mind. Look at the history of Martin Kola, the fellow we're talking about who was given the $70,000. I have some theories of my own. I hope Martin Kola and Draw didn't play this thing. Act like you run away with their money.
Costa, check your WhatsApp.
Oh no, but Larry, I'm telling you. Well, yeah, this is what was issued by the police. 103. I'm gonna send it to you. The Deputy Police Inspector General for something.
Prince Moba.
He issued this thing. Very urgent. This guy just stole an unspecified huge amount of money from the headquarters of the CPP located on so the police got put this information out on the police circular. They put it out there. So they're like what you call like an APB or something, like what they call you in America, Larry?
APB.
Yeah.
All Points Bulletin.
Exactly. So he ran away. Simon Davis. But Larry, let me ask you a question.
Wait, hold up, Costa. You see what one of your viewers over here said, Caroline? She said everybody tired suffering, including the driver. Tired suffering rally money.
Larry, if you had $70,000, would you be doing a rally with that, or would you be going out into various communities and blessing people, orphanages, places such as the centers that have the blind people, visually impaired, and the the disabled people or the needy in society, $70,000 can put a smile on so many people's faces.
Around the holidays, there's so much good you can do around the holidays with
And Larry, this
$70,000.
has backfired. What do you think it's going to say to some of the people who are planning to come to the so-called rally? That $70,000 was given to Martin Kohler to go and distribute to pay people to bring people out.
And Costa, it happened the eve of the event, which is tomorrow. I don't know. So it was like even those that have been into the rally itself, they thinking that will benefit something from that. Now they have. Well, there's no need of me going there no more.
Larry, so I see why these guys have built this shield around Mr. Cummings.
Exactly.
Larry, now I understand it even better. Because
they're driven by money.
Yeah, they're driven by money. You see, Alex Cummings is a wealthy man. Say what you want to say about him, disagree with his politics all you want. But this man worked hard, worked his way up the corporate ladder in America. Larry, you appreciate this more than most people do because you worked in corporate America on Wall Street.
Stressful.
You know what it takes. The expectations that are pinned on you, these ridiculously high goals that you have to attain, these are the projections. You got to meet your milestones.
Performance management every year.
Money, Larry. He comes to Liberia. He wants to be president, which is his right. Then he's surrounded by a bunch of crooks.
That's the problem. It's always same thing with the current administration. It's always the people surrounding you. Yeah, it's always the people surrounding you that would take you down, and that's what's happening right now to Mr. Cummings. Take a close look at the people surrounding him, his inner circle. I saw the list they put out in terms of the people who the key members of his team. I look at some of the names. I was like, wow, the Ambassador movie. This guy is here. Oh my goodness, people that have been on the TRC report.
He left $70,000 in the office with his driver. Larry, I find that hard to believe.
Man, like I just said, that guy went to the school of mop up. He definitely mopped up that one, and he's going. Where village he from? I mean,
Larry. If Cummings gave them $70,000 a few days before the protest, 2 days, literally 48 hours to the protest, how much more do you think he had given them previously to do the mobilization?
I know, right? But my man, if you cannot manage 70,000, because this is misappropriation right off the bat, this is corruption. If you cannot manage something as small as 70,000, imagine you start receiving 100, a million, so on and so forth.
And these are the people Mr. Cummings is going to give millions of dollars to do his campaign.
You do something like that in the U.S., you're immediately fired. You're done, gone, kaput. Get out of here. We're going to have you investigated and indicted. Plain and simple. Leadership. I mean,
Larry, it's one thing that the money was stolen, supposedly stolen. But it's another thing that, people are like, even the Cummings supporters on here, they are embarrassed. It's embarrassed that they're pouring all this money into a rally.
Into a rally / protest / whatever you want to call it. But let's be clear. So now they have to come up with another set of $70,000 to $100,000 because the event still has to go on.
Am I right?
The event has to go on.
The event has to go on. They absolutely have to tomorrow.
Yeah, I read it. I read the article.
And Rodney is my own guy, but we all know Rodney is very skewed, very, very, very lenient, very, very. So you can see his editorial leaning towards them. So Rodney spoke with them. They confirmed it to Rodney. They said $70,000.
A lot of money. 70,000 in Liberia. If you convert that to the LDs, that's a ton of money. That's a lot of people that could benefit from that. But you're putting cash in someone's hand and you don't have the kind of risk management and management thing in place, and the person just abscond with that money. What are you going to do next? Who are you going to trust now? How do you vet these people out? They got an all-points bulletin on this guy. Would they find him? Even if they were to find him, man, they make him bribe somebody and probably the person won't turn him in. They're not going to get that money.
I already make $70,000. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Who's going to turn somebody in with $70,000? That man, you're going to ask that man for your own Christmas. I mean, they just made somebody's Christmas, man. I mean, we're looking at the same corruption index that made Liberia didn't pass the MCC, and then we're seeing it happen over here. It's a never-ending story. It's the same thing. Liberia receives, like what the ambassador said in his op-ed, receives $110 million per year. $110 million per year. And where does that money go? You know, let me mention something real quick before you move on, Costa. I mentioned this one data to a few people, and every time I say it, people keep challenging me on it, and then I point them to where I got the source. Are you aware that in the first 3 years of Madam Sirleaf's administration, compare that to the first 3 years of George Weah's administration, on average, George Weah has received more money than Madam Sirleaf? People are saying they find it's go to foreignassistance.gov.
Are you kidding?
But the year Weah has received more money. Weah received more money than Ellen.
Wow. But
then look.
Can't tell Larry, I'm sorry. But can't tell George to make sure all the apps are on. And what about the radio? We're still on the radio?
Sure, yeah.
Fantastic. Make sure all the apps are on because lots of people listen via those apps. Yeah, Larry, you may continue. Sorry there for the.
Yeah, so Weah has received more money in the first 3 years of his administration than Ellen did. But the first 3 years of Weah's administration, the country went into a depression. It had 36 months of economic decline. It went into a depression. 36 months, 3 years of lack of economic growth. This is why Sierra Leone is winning the MCC, because at the same time, Sierra Leone's economy after Ebola, Sierra Leone economy started growing. Liberia economy started going down. Guinea economy started growing. Liberia economy started going down. Why? Because the people running, the executives running the country, they're incompetent, plain and simple. And you know something, Pedro, real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Next year, the MCC is changing the rules in terms to qualify. One key criteria now is how many jobs that you create. You think the guys are creating jobs? You think they're going to qualify next year?
I mean, Joe, we are never puzzle. Let's move on to something else before we take some calls. Yesterday was a major victory in the Councilor George Kailondo, prominent Liberian businessman, versus GT Bank. So sometime this year, George Kailondo filed a lawsuit maybe last year, against GT Bank. He claimed that GT Bank illegally took out money from his account, lots of money. And so he sued them. He sued GT Bank, and he was suing for damages, special damages and general damages to the tune of $3,250,000. The case went to the Civil Law Court B. All the facts were made. GT Bank brought their lawyers. They did all the arguments, everything back and forth. George Kailondo triumphed against GT Bank. The Civil Law Court judge ordered GT Bank to pay Mr. Kailondo special damages and general damages, as well as 6% interest accrued over the period of 8 years. They had taken that money over a period of 8 years. So they said, look, interest must have accrued on that money, because if he had that money, if he had access to his money, he would have been turning it around as a businessman and so paying 6%. So the total money came to $3,250,000. GT Bank then said to Mr. Kailondo, okay, let's sit down and see how we can talk. And their lawyers and Mr. Kailondo's lawyers went and sat down, tried to negotiate, and they even reached terms. They agreed on terms. But then the bank decided to capitulate. The bank equivocated, they reneged, and therefore, what the bank didn't do. In Liberia, under Liberian law, you have a period of 60 days to file an appeal before the Supreme Court. So when Kailondo won the case in Civil Law Court B, GT Bank should have done something called file a bill of exception to the verdict. That bill of exception must be done within 10 days. 10 days after the ruling is handed down. GT Bank, they failed to do that. When you file a bill of exception, you should also file it with a bond. It's called an appeal bond. It has to be filed with the bill of exception. GT Bank did not do that. They failed to do that. GT Bank then waited They waited until 57 days later before they went to the Supreme Court, with only 3 days left. Only 3 days left to perfect the appeal. They went to the Supreme Court with their appeal. The Supreme Court brought the case up, and the full bench of the court heard the case. The Supreme Court said, you did not, to GD Bank, Supreme Court said, you failed to perfect the appeal process. You cannot come to the Supreme Court and expect to be granted an appeal hearing when you did not perfect the appeal process. Therefore, the Supreme Court squashed GD Bank's appeal, and they ordered the lower court, civil law court B, to enforce the judgment because the appeal was not perfected. Therefore, the Supreme Court, their hands are tied. They cannot listen to the case. So the Supreme Court ordered the lower court judge to enforce judgment so that GD Bank pays to Mr. George B. Kailondo the amount of $3,250,000 United States dollars. Larry, what do you make of that?
Wow. It's a lot in there to unpack. A lot to unpack. My major concern is, again, when you put your money in the bank for safekeeping, you expect when you come back, the money will be there. But if you don't have trust in the banking system,
Larry,
you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. In fact, these banks, they all pay I believe they pay an insurance to the CBL, if I'm not mistaken, to protect depositors' money. But if you don't start, if the judiciary system don't start enforcing the rule of law, this country is not going to go anywhere. If people stop putting the money into banks, the government is going to fail because they need money. They need to borrow money. They need to get access to money. People don't understand the importance of the banking and financial system. You cannot tamper with it.
The banks are the heartbeat of any economy.
Yes, you can't tamper with it. You cannot put your money in a GT bank. You come back the day you need it, it's not there. And that's one of the reasons why even some of these African leaders do not put money in some of the banks in their own countries because they don't trust some of the banks.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I mean, but I'm glad the Supreme Court has taken a stand. But now we need a justice ministry to step in and enforce the decisions.
Yeah, and I see Thomas Cry. You know you're my man, but your comment is very offensive, and your comment is stupid. And I'm going to say that to you. You are asking me whether this is breaking news. Are you freaking kidding me? You know how many people have been affected by commercial banks, and we have a landmark case, Larry. This is a landmark case. This man took this case all the way to court, won in the lower court. GD Bank did not perfect the appeal process. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has now said, you are wrong. Go back and order the lower court judge to enforce the ruling. He said, this is a PR. Is this what you call PR? How does this benefit Kailondo? The man has already won the case. Larry,
absolutely.
How is this PR? What kind of nonsense is that? Kailondo has already won the case.
Let him man go put his money in the bank. He happy with how the system works. Let him go put his money in the bank.
You are a friend of mine. You come here, you make a stupid comment like that. You accuse me of doing PR. How does this PR benefit Kailondo? The man triumphed yesterday in the Supreme Court of the Republic. Then he said a PR. GT Bank stole the man's money. And the man went to court. And how could anybody be against that? Only a deranged human being could be against that. If GT Bank stole your money, wouldn't you be running to me? Costa, please talk about this. Wrong is wrong. You don't have to like the man. I'm very happy for Kailondo, as I would be for anybody who was injured by the bank and went to court. The man went to court.
Why can't Costa remind me? I mean, there has to be some other stories where people putting the money in bank and it's being stolen. I think you talk about Eva Mappet Morgan all the time.
Where Emma Brussels.
Exactly. Didn't the former head of the CBL, Charles Sirleaf, said he put money in the bank one time?
GT Bank too. Yes. They see GT Bank.
Okay.
And he went to court to sue them too. Charles Sirleaf. So this is a problem, Brother Thomas Kura. And I find it very offensive to accuse me of doing PR. How does Calando benefit from this so-called PR? The man won the case, and I'm very happy for him. GD Bank and all commercial banks should stop stealing money from their clients' accounts because people need to trust the bank, as Larry said.
Yeah.
I need to be able to take. The reason I won't keep my money to my house because armed robbers will come to my house and steal it.
You keep it in the house that armed robbers. So Boyka, where do you keep your money? You keep it in the bank or you keep it on a mattress?
What we'll do, force to put it in the bank, Larry. The smaller money we get, how much money we get to put in the bank? But you just gotta have something in the bank because you keep it on to yourself, you run the risk of using it yourself, some kind of way. You know, but let's go to the phone line. Larry, I can't wait to hear from the folks. The two key issues we discussed here this morning. The US
FCC.
government doing, like I said, financial sanctions. I agree, Braga, 100%.
Yes.
What they did, they're equivalent to financial sanctions. They gave Togo, I mean, Larry, the president of Togo, for Nasengbe, is a dictator. He's been in power since 2005. They gave him money. Gambia, Adama borrowed that Fisiga. They gave him money. And they gave Georgia no money. Even though we are some school for America, Larry.
Yeah.
You know, Larry, let me tell you something. My man Carrasco, when they came newly, you know that sometimes you go to the party in newly, right? Everybody see the speaking, the talent, but they party newly, everybody love me. But then later on now, then you realize that love, that initial greeting you receive is not really. Carrasco, when they enter DC, Carrasco posted, said, what? That goal, that Team We Are School for America has opened many doors for the president. Then he made a hashtag diplomatic goal. I mean, the goal, that diplomatic goal.
Well, man, that guy is small-minded. Goals doesn't dictate policy.
It get dissipated.
Yeah. Goals are not U.S. policies. The MCC is based on policies, man. You know, corruption, economic growth, healthcare, education, all those things are policies. I don't remember, and you correct me, Costa, I might be wrong, but I don't remember reading the MCC's website and it's saying hashtag goal is a U.S. foreign policy. I don't remember seeing it, so please correct me if I'm wrong.
Larry, why would Carrasco or Weir think that because his son is an American citizen? Playing for America is a privilege and it's a duty. It's a national duty. His son scoring for America, why would he think that it would benefit him as president of Liberia? Larry, please explain that to me. Larry, please.
That's when you have run out of strategies for your propaganda and you got to make up something new. You know, let's just go with the goal because the other ones, they didn't work. The bilateral discussions, they didn't work. Let's just try this one, hashtag goal. Maybe that would stick, right? I don't see hashtag goal
Larry,
on the MCC compact, please.
Saudi Arabia is one of the richest countries in the world. In fact, their company, the Saudi Aramco, is the second largest company in the world after Apple. Saudi Arabia gives other countries money all the time, but they give us dates. Sugar palm nut. Now what they give Liberian people. Larry, you know sugar palm nut, right?
You're serious? You're making that up, man.
Larry, dates. Now, I'm Saudi Arabia gave us, I think, 50 tons of dates. We're not Saudis, we're not Arab people, we don't eat dates. They give us sugar palm nut. In fact, my Liberian sugar palm nut is better than dates. Baga, would you not agree, Baga?
Sure.
Sugar palm nut not better than dates from Saudi Arabia?
Sure, it is.
God, this is so embarrassing. Oh, the country.
Oh my God. But we're going to go to the phone lines and take some calls. Again, I want to say congratulations to Mr. George B. Kailondo, Councilor at Law, on your landmark victory against the bank. This case has set a precedent. That's what every case does, right, Larry? If you feel very strongly and you have evidence to prove it, that the bank took money out of your account. And you know what they did, Larry? When Kailondo noticed that they had taken the money out of his account, he called for an audit.
Yeah.
He went to the CBO for help. The CBO was protecting the bank. He demanded for the audit until they brought two reputable auditing firms. The two firms got together and they audited the account. And they agreed that money was taken out of the man's account. The bank then had an opportunity, Larry, to put the money back.
But shouldn't somebody be in jail for stealing, for theft?
Of course, that's theft, Larry. That's theft, period.
Shouldn't somebody be in jail? I mean, even if the Supreme Court saying, yeah, we know this money was stolen, needs to be replaced. Once the Supreme Court comes out and says the money was stolen and they agree, that's theft, right? Am I missing something? The laws in Liberia, shouldn't somebody go to jail for that?
Blatant theft. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to make this man accumulate all this money to go to court.
Pastor Boycott, help me remember something. When money was taken out of Nathaniel McGill's account, didn't he have somebody arrested?
Oh, are you kidding? He blew the whistle and the bank people said they were going to take action. Yes. But then they found out that it was his wife who was taking the money.
It was his wife. Yeah, his wife was taking the money
His
from
wife
his
was
account.
using the money because McGill wasn't taking his salary.
So how did that move so quickly when McGill?
His wife was buying Balenciaga, Ferragamo, Gucci, Prada, Givenchy. Yeah.
Oh, she wasn't buying loungewear?
No, yo. Larry, you're hell. I mean, all the bank did, the bank just pull out the spreadsheet. In that case, by GT Bank was not in the wrong. When they pull out the, what do they call it, Larry? You're a banker. They just printed out all her expenses. The
journal, the accounts journal.
Exactly. They pull it out. Balenciaga, Gucci, Prada.
Wow. Got some good taste.
Just say, okay. All right. Because in your house, he know who can wear Balenciaga, Gucci, Prada.
But they move quickly. When McGill raised the call, they move quickly. They have someone.
When McGill raised it, the way the bank moved. But you see, in Kalando's case, they were dragging their feet. Folks at the CBO was protecting them. But then Kalando said, okay, let's do the accounting. Kalando did a reasonable thing. He said, okay, let's hire 2 auditing firms. You bring your firm that you trust. I bring my firm that I trust. Let the 2 firms do the accounting, the reconciliation. They did a reconciliation. It was established. GT Bank took over $1 million from his account over a period of 8 years. Kalando said, pay up. They said, no. Carry out the court. And Larry, if we had a judiciary that people were afraid of for the right reasons, the bank would not have failed to settle Kalando to avoid going to court.
If you had a judiciary that people were afraid of, you would have a country that's on the road to development.
Mm-hmm.
Because corruption is what's killing Liberia right now. So you have a strong judiciary, you automatically put your country on a road toward development. So show me a country with a strong judicial system, I will show you a country that is developing. Or one without a strong judicial system, I will show you a country that is failing miserably. And I will show you a country that does not win the MCC compact. Plain and simple.
Rule of law, Larry. The rule of law. Aristotle said, and I quote, man, at best, man is the noblest of all animals. But absent law and justice, he is the worst. That's it. No society would thrive and prosper without the rule of law.
That's it.
We're going to go to the line.
Just going in circles.
We're privileged this morning to have with us Brother Larry Kennedy, and we're benefiting as usual from his incisive, brilliant, and analytical prowess. Let's take some calls. There are a whole host of issues here. Financial sanctions, which is what this snub by the MCC is tantamount to against the Weah administration. I mean, look at the guy in the Ivory Coast. This guy changed the constitution. Alassane Dramane Ouattara. He changed the constitution of the Ivory Coast. Or he exploited a loophole to vie for a third term. He crushed the opposition. Bwaga, are you there? Can we take some calls?
Yeah.
Stay in power, please listen. And yet they give him money, Larry.
Yeah.
And George Weah, a darling Africa black diamond, the 56-year-old boy. Oh,
a country the U.S. helped form. A country the U.S. helped form.
Yes, the country the U.S. helped form. Yeah. His son scored for this U.S. His son sacrificed and broke his back for America. Yet Biden only gave him selfies and no money. And then the ANC people, $70,000 for their protest stolen by the driver, Martin Kohler's driver. Y'all make me the chief investigator on that case. I will investigate. We'll find the driver. That driver and Martin Kohler plan. Look, my man, I'm more lean on the side of the driver and Martin Kohler planning something than that driver being brave to Chile with $70,000. Brother, let's go to the phone lines. Let's hear what Liberian people have to say. Do you really $70,000 for to pay people? Then they say you have to pay for services. I did protest before, so I'm the expert here, right, Larry? What kind of services do you pay people for at a protest? We didn't pay for services. We paid for a PA system. Yeah, we rented it, PA system. We bought lots and lots of water. We did radio appearances. We rented a flat bay truck to put our equipment on for one day, a couple of days before the protest. But Larry, our whole budget never passed $11,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and we spent all our money.
It was a lot more people.
Most of that money was spent weeks before the protest. Weeks before the protest. But they gave Martin Kohler $70,000 2 days before the so-called rally. Well, let's go to the phone line. Now we see where this rally really coming from. So the rally is really meant to boost Ellis Cummings because he ain't got no traction, no appeal. That's why I've asked my people, it is not a protest against what's happening in the country. It is a political rally, a partisan rally. Stay away from the rally. Baga, let's go to the phone lines and take some calls there.
All right, 077-012-102-86-010-383 555-102-102. The WhatsApp number is +231 888 624171. What do you make of us Liberians not receiving a dime from the MCC? 70K. You know how much bag of rice or how many bag of rice that 70K could have bought from Liberians? And one person just escaped with such money. 0770-102-102-86-010-383 555-102-102 are the numbers that you can call. You will be live with us here this morning. Bieber, Larry Kennedy, Henry Costa, and I, Boakai Amara Kamara. We are here this morning providing you information that you are following. So there's no call yet. We still anticipate them.
Oh, the calls will come. The calls will come. The calls will definitely come in. So MC Caro has his new song. I like this song, Baga. I heard George playing it this morning. Call me babe. MC Caro. she said, even if you double your socks, you will not stay fit in my shoes. I like how much you
Let's take this person here. Good morning.
Good morning, Boga.
Good morning. Your name is Johnny.
And good morning to Pedro Costa. Good morning.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is DJ Lumer. Let me say, Boga and my brother Larry, your Costa, thank you this morning. You know, Joe Biden abandonment. Why Joe Biden had to call our president to go watch football game at the end? Then yesterday, man said the election should be free and fair. So, President, we are all the time you left from here, all the days you meet over there. It was anyone going to press button over there before meeting Bali. You were going to do everything, but you went there, you never pressed no button. At the end of the day, you say you can't and make sure the election be free and fair. Now, Joe Biden calling to white football, and a football game, you watch a football game, and nothing will bring the Liberian people without picture. And Baka, I want you to see all the things before the day of the protest, because we're supposed to be on our ground by 5:30 before the people can come in, by 6:30 before the people can start coming by 7 for our people. So we need our people to be ready. If you get it, because no problem, and we need new generator for that day.
Okay, thank you so much. 0770-102-102. We're still taking your calls. Keep them coming.
Baga, I'm gonna send Chairman Thomas Ansumana's number to you right now, so you can send it to DJ Lombe. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Chairman Thomas Ansumana and his folks from the Maryland chapter of the COP will take care of the pickup. They already volunteered, and they're gonna do it. But let's take more calls there.
Yep. So keep your calls coming in this morning. We're still taking calls. We have 7 more minutes to go. Yeah.
Larry, the people are enjoying the conversation so much that they don't even want to call. So let's circle back with you. You know,
there was so much to unpack, man. The MCC was the big story.
So much
the MCC was the big story. All the money you guys didn't spend, they just paid Ballot $500,000 to come here just to do a selfie.
But Larry, let me ask you a question. Brian Ballard was the most powerful lobbyist in DC when Trump was president. And the reason is simple. Ballard was the chairman of the Florida fundraising committee for Trump's election in 2016. And he's been Trump's guy ever since. And so after all the money he raised in Florida, you know, Florida is the second richest state in America. Second. And they raised all that money. So when Trump became president, this guy was a lobbyist. Why would these guys even hire Brian Ballard? This guy was Trump's lobbyist. He allowed himself to be labeled, and ultimately he was stigmatized as Trump's lobbyist. Would a guy like Brian Ballard help you land a deal with the Biden folks?
Oh, man, these guys are not strategic. Costa, you know very well we sat in New York with the lawyer for Trump. You were there. You were in that room. We sat in that room with the lawyer for Trump and the chief of staff for the mayor of New York, the guy who created a super PAC that helped Trump win. If you cannot get an official visit after the lawyer for Trump agree with you
September
to work with you,
2018, less than a year in office, we did that.
They didn't manage to succeed with that for several reasons. You know, they're like the crab in the bucket. They were kind of fighting each other. They couldn't decide on which way to go. They messed up that whole deal. Now, fast forward, you have a Democratic president in place. You're going to bring some of the biggest critics from the Trump era to come and lobby for you. You're not strategic. You don't understand. You had Trump lawyer as your man to lobby for you. You didn't do that. Well, he didn't really do much of a lobbying, but he brought in one of the top lobbying firms to come and lobby for you. You didn't succeed in that. For specific reasons, you did not succeed. Then you got to bring Ballard, and you pay. Ballard's charging them $75,000 a month. They're still paying it. It goes on the way to June of 2023. $75,000, Pedro, per month. It goes, but the contracts that were canceled was running up until 2024 when we leaves power. They signed contracts that was running until 2024. They got contracts right now that is running until June 2023, paying $75,000 per month to Ballard. And what did you get in return? Your minister of state gets sanctioned. I mean, it tells you you are not. I don't know. They're just not paying attention to what America is asking for. America is asking to stop stealing the people money. Stop doing wasteful spending. The private jet does not look good. You know, when Madam Sirleaf called it opulence, you started writing and posting all kind of stuff in there. They're not paying attention. The optics is what is grabbing the Americans' attention, but you got to follow it with exact actions. They're not doing what is right. You feel, I mean, you passed the median threshold on the MCC, but you didn't pass some of the other people then. That's why you didn't win. That's why you didn't get the money, because corruption, Biden put it out in a statement. Corruption is a national security policy. The government, the kleptocracy is a threat to U.S. national security. They don't get it. They just don't get it. Stop the corruption. Stop the misappropriation. You cannot say you have excess in your budget and you cannot pay your people. That's why these guys they run into issues. $75,000 a month, yeah, Pedro, $75,000 a month. That's what they're paying the Ballot. You know, they paid the first tranche, $474,950. They paid it, and you know what Ballot did on December 8th in terms of the work Ballot is doing? They went and they sent documents to the Department of Justice. All they did was they took a picture from a website. I think it's International Law Group, some justice group, where President Weah agreed to the War Crimes Court. That was all they did. If you go check the documents, they
are filing their submission for
the thing that Judge Weah reneged on already in terms of setting up the War Crimes Court. That was all Ballot has done so far. They said it was setting up, bilateral discussions with high-level government officials. We haven't seen it, but it hasn't materialized into anything tangible for the Liberian people. All the traveling, when the Liberian people ask, what did you guys bring back? They haven't brought back anything whatsoever. So why are they still paying these lobbyists, man? Why would you keep paying them?
They need to terminate them.
And this is the only country in sub-Saharan Africa that has this many lobbyists. At one time, they had about 12 lobbyists. The only country. Ghana has one lobbyist, which is Riva Livins, KRL. But out of other countries, Liberia has about 12 different lobbyists. And now to talk about why will Eugene Nangbe be hiring a lobbyist for maritime when Liska already has 2 lobbyists?
Eugene, when they hired, what was the firm he hired the last time?
Well, he hired KRL, and Madam Salif never did any of this stuff. They're always doing comparison with Madam Salif. She didn't hire all these lobbyists. She had Riva as her chief lobbyist.
Yeah, Riva was, and then a few other lobbyists for strategic reasons.
But
everybody
in the government is hiring lobbyists.
Throughout her 12 years in office was Riva.
Yeah. Maritime boss is hiring his own lobbyist. Liska has their own lobbyist. They hired Ed Royce, Bakari Sellers. They hired a whole bunch of people.
And then they hired Ed Royce. They
hired Ed Royce, $25,000 a month.
Royce was chair on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He is a Republican.
He's a Republican.
In the Republican Party. He's not somebody who's going to influence the White House. Not the current.
Ed Royce was instrumental in getting what he named out of the country. Charles Taylor. He was instrumental in that.
Very instrumental. Yes, Ed Royce.
Yeah, they're paying all these monies, $3.3 million per year.
You now went to that forum where we saw Ed Royce and Chris Coons.
And Chris Coons, the Global Leadership Conference. Yeah. We saw Ed Royce in there.
Yeah.
We went to those conferences.
Chairman Royce.
The people keep preaching corruption, misappropriation. You're taking money from so many places and you're just diverting it. And you're not going to win MCC. It is done. Yeah. World Bank reported that the poverty in Liberia increased under this administration. The number of people getting poor increased under this administration. You have a few sycophants that go out there and try to make comparison with Madam Salif. You came in to the presidency with a mantra of change. But every time somebody says something, you say, oh, Madam Salif did it. Oh, yeah, man.
It's serious, Larry. Anyway, our time is up. We had a fantastic conversation this morning. The whole government has gone quiet, Larry. What do you think they're going to come up with now?
The MCC was a big, I think Boyka said it best. They got a slap with another new economic sanction by not getting any of this MCC money. So what else is left? Oh, the only thing that is left, which is coming out next year, is AGOA. So they qualify for AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act.
It expires next year, but other countries are pushing for its renewal.
The same thing. Will they get, how well will they do with AGOA?
But
they don't even pay attention to that stuff.
AGOA, we haven't benefited from AGOA anyway because we're not exporting anything to the U.S. really.
Nah, there's nothing else left, man. There's nothing left. The Americans don't want these guys, and I'm sure a majority of the Liberian people don't want them there right now. So the opposition just need to get their act together, because
why are they making all this big muff, Larry?
It's all nonsense propaganda. When you ask them to show you the data, no one can show you any data on anything. They just talk. If you tell them, say, okay, the bicentennial, it was a year-long celebration. You pay all this money to bring all these people here for bicentennial. Where's the data to show how much Liberia benefited from it? Zilch. They have nothing.
The year of the return, Ghana made $3 billion from the year of the return. $3 billion.
Yeah.
That was what.
Ask Liberia, how well did they do with the bicentennial? A year-long thing. Nothing to show for it. How many jobs were created as a result of the bicentennial? Nothing to show for it. Zilch. But yet, a few people go out there and do a lot of talking. They have no data, nothing to substantiate what they're saying. Nada. You know, they take pictures at the World Cup. Who leaves your country for almost 40 days to go gallivanting? Where's the leadership in that? To go gallivanting on taxpayers' money. Then you try to compare your travel habits with that of a private citizen? They try to compare because someone decided, okay, we don't want JMB to travel via car. We will send a plane for him to at least alleviate the stress of traveling via car. Then you can make a big comparison between you taking the taxpayers' dollars for your travels. The only government that travel to France for a teleconference. they got their travel.
A virtual conference
for a Zoom conference.
A Zoom conference. I mean, you travel to the Zoom conference, and when you got there, they were so embarrassed they had to let you in. When they said, "People, the leaders, you were not supposed to be physically present." My man, I swear, man, Lord Larry, man,
you give up, eh?
Yeah.
One of the co-hosts of the conference, the president from Mexico. He didn't even travel to Paris for the conference. He stayed in Mexico. They made fly commercial. The GDP in Mexico is, I don't know how many quadruple times that of Liberia. The man flies commercial. He sits in the back of the plane, not even first class or business class. He flies regular commercial flights. But our guy takes private plane at a cost of $75,000 a pop.
Okay.
It's crazy.
My man, Larry, it's over, man. It's over. Well, what do you think we are going to do when he loses the elections in 2023?
Well, I think Lester Tenney said it best. One thing they have to look out for is the indictments, the investigations, and the repatriation of a lot of the money that have been stolen back to Liberia.
Okay.
That's what they got to pay attention to.
So you mean
the
Larry,
asset recovery?
This guy who came with all this hype, you know, not that some of us expected anything of him, but just the fact that look at his background, look at the weird story. The weird story in itself, Larry, is a remarkable story. An ordinary, semi-literate, unsophisticated guy from the slums of Liberia rose to world fame and celebrity status by dazzling the world with his talismanic football skills. Won the world best, something no African players ever done. Won European best.
Yes.
You know, it was loved.
Africa's best.
Idolized around the world. You know, won the XP or the SP award. And this guy.
The SP award. Yes.
He goes on to become president of his country. And what does he do? He becomes one of the worst criminals the country has ever had as president.
Never got a chance to meet any U.S. presidents. He literally picked himself up by the bootstraps.
Yes, he did that. We did that. He dropped out of school because he had to go out there to see greener pasture. The weird story could have ended so beautifully. A whole movie could have been made of this guy's story. If this guy had only served the people well, if he had only placed the people above his own interest.
That's where leadership is.
But this guy was never meant to be a leader, Larry.
But Dylan said it best at one time. Dylan said, we needed a George Weah to kind of get him out of our system.
Of course we did.
Otherwise, he was going to keep running.
100%. I've always held that view. Because, Larry, there are people who would have died and gone to their graves, believing that Weah would have been the best president or would be the best president if given the presidency.
Yeah. Now they know.
They have checked themselves thanks to the harsh reality that they are witnessing and they have been victimized by. That Weah is not a leader, never was. The only thing God gave this man was great football skills. That's all.
How do you, as a leader, see you have over 1,000 women dying in childbirth? No one should give up their life while giving life to someone else, but yet you fly private plane. Your education system is such a mess, yet you fly private plane. You brag about wearing $400 sneakers and $1,000 plus shoes. You dress yourself up immaculate while you have young children then who cannot even get. 60% of the population is at food insecure, meaning they don't get all of the necessary food they need to eat on a daily basis. This was just an experiment that went bad, and it went bad fast with the whole money fiasco at the CBL. Inflation hyped up to over 30% simply because they stole the money and put it back in the economy, followed by the mop up. It was just one bad incident after the next. You know, they say, oh, but when he goes out in the public, oh, people, and then the whole thing with the rice. You see the prices of the rice? Now they're being forced to actually let the market determine the price of rice under this administration. Something they should have done a long time ago. Let market do that.
Yeah. They
just one big. The whole nonsense about we'll eat book. Yeah, you need book. No matter how you cut it. When you get sick, you don't go to the country doctor or in the village. What you do? You fly out of the country and go to the country that where the book doctors and you leave the poor people home.
Yeah, because book is important.
Okay,
don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They say that bull will eat. Okay, and not stupidity eating now.
I've never seen that say, oh, you know something? That surgeon over there who can operate on me, I'm not going to use him. Let me go to the country doctor so he can rub something on my foot. Do it.
Yep.
So, well, when it comes to the presidency, they don't need anyone to have any bit of intelligence. You know, we are a rentier state. We rent our ocean. We rent our forest. We rent our mines. We rent everything in the country. We don't develop anything.
We rent it. Yeah.
A rentier state. So we don't get the true benefits of our resources. We have more resources than other countries. Singapore has passed the US in terms of GDP per capita.
Yeah,
right around the financial.
Up there. I think the second.
They're gone. Singapore. They're gone. And Singapore doesn't have a tenth of the resources Liberia has.
My man, Singapore was nothing but a rice paddy all over the place, riddled with rice. Thanks to the vision of Lee Kuan Yew. Look at what they are today, one of the most prosperous countries in the world. They give the people tax rebates. They give them cash transfers at the end of the year when they have budget surpluses. Jesus Christ.
All of that. All the stuff we have. We simply stand around. We chant. We holler. When people want to protest, you hear people talking about counter-protest. All kind of nonsense they do. Then when you don't...
And they expect these things would not have effects abroad, Larry. When they have the likes of Koji out of his stupid mouth, saying all those things, threatening people's lives.
That was the reason why the people in Ivory Coast ended up at the War Crimes Court, because of this whole counter-protest nonsense. They don't think. They're not paying attention to what's happening.
And what the guy need,
Exactly. You know your stuff, man.
Oh my God. My man, Larry, thank you, man. We could be here all day. But it's just sad. And to be honest, I'm relieved that those boys didn't get that money, Larry. I'm being very honest with you. I'm happy. Relieved.
I don't blame you, man, because they would have just wasted it. But I just want to, before I leave, I want to give one final advice. Boycott, go get your 50,000 out of LBDI.
I know, right? And folks, anyway, you see Simon Davis, that guy is having the best Christmas of the year. Martin Kohler's driver. And let me tell the ANC people, I'm offering my services as an investigator. Just so you know, I have a master's degree in criminal justice with concentration in leadership and administration. And I finished school with distinction, a 3.72 GPA. So let the ANC hire me.
But Pedro, use the Costa Show to put out the ABP. We talked about it one time with put that guy's name out there. Let them give you a finder's fee. Yeah. Somebody will spot him.
Yeah. Simon Davis, hire me. I will help with investigation with the ANC, and I'll do it pro bono because right now they are They're hurting. They're hurting very badly. I'm not going to charge them. I will do it pro bono as a private investigator. We will look for that Salama Swan who ran away with the money. So what becomes of the protest, of the rally? Sorry, it's not a protest. It's a rally.
A rally.
It just have to go on, no matter what it is.
Larry, Cummings must be the angriest man right now. Do you think he's going to give them some more money?
He has to, because it's a sunk. That's what we call it. It's a sunk cost. You cannot look back and say you lost 70,000. You have to put more in it. What does the weather look like anyway? What does the weather look like for Saturday?
Yeah, the weather will be good.
The weather will be good. The weather will be good. But Mr. Cummings have to prove to the Liberian people that I have the numbers, because that's just what they want to do.
The whole protest, the whole rally is not a rally about the issues. It's a rally to boost Cummings' momentum. Whose idea it was? Louis Brown. Louis Brown been hungry for long. He tried to get the job as ambassador to Japan. We are giving to former Senator Blamo Nelson. Oh no, Blamo Nelson was in the Senate? No, he wasn't in the Senate, right? He was a minister, right? Blamo Nelson got the job. Blamo Nelson got the job as ambassador to Japan. Louis Brown realized, okay, there was no other post that he was going to get. Louis Brown started writing those open letters, the long letters. He started being critical. Louis Brown looked at long. He wasn't getting anything from those long letters. He joined ANC. Louis Brown looked at long. He said, all right, so what am I going to do in the ANC to get Mr. Cummings' attention? I will call a rally. I will say, we're tired of suffering. Now, Cummings has to pay for the protest or the rally because Louis Brown got no money to do it. So, but then they said, Cummings, just in case the protest is poor, so sit down. Don't act like you are part of it. Let us be the one. Let us be the face of it. You just give the money. We will do the mobilization. Yes, of course. Blamo Nelson was Senator Grand Crew. Thank you. Of course. Yeah, Blamo Nelson. I knew it. I knew it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. He was Senator for Grand Crew. Then what happened?
But Costa, you know what? I think it was Taiwa Gonglu that said this. He said, right now, with all the talking that Louis Brown is doing, if we was to give Louis Brown a job as Minister of Information, he would take that job right now.
He would take it. He did it with everything. He would take it. So you see, Louis Brown just using Cummings to promote himself. That's all. And to get some money. I feel sorry for Cummings. I genuinely feel sorry for Cummings. He does not deserve this. I think he's a good guy who has just been misguided, exploited, and abused. Yeah, period. And Martin Kola is suspect number 2 on my list. Simon Davis is suspect number 1. Martin Kola is suspect number 2. I will pull the call log. The first thing I will do, I will pull the call log between Martin Kola number and Martin Davis number. Larry, you also understand? I want to see whether they have spoken since the guy supposedly disappeared. They bought know the craft, man. He knows the trade craft.
Check the cell phone records. Check the cell phone records.
Yes, that's the first thing the investigators should do. Pull the call record between, if that guy supposedly ran away, Martin Kola and this guy should not have been able to speak. No, because he ran away. So I will pull the call log. Because if he and Martin saw them going together, you know they will call each other, my man, where you going? You to that spot where I saw you should go ahead. Okay, fine. Martin tell how you talk to the man, and the man check off. That's the first thing I would do. Larry, I see you, my man.
All right, my man. Just stay safe. Later, boy.
You too, buddy. You too. All right, bye-bye.